Welcome. This video will go through checking and correcting the basic settings of a dataset you have imported into SPSS. In order to follow along, you will need the SPSS dataset.sav file after importing from the Excel file. You can also use the result of other imports, however we are using the SPSS dataset resulting from importing the Excel file. Note, different ways of importing the same basic data may result in differences in the default settings. For example, the SAS dataset provided 0 for the decimals for all but one variable, whereas the Excel file imported with 1 decimal place for all of the variables. There can be differences in the measure assigned, as well as possibly other differences. Checking and modifying the settings as we discuss in this video, as well as the videos on labeling variables and translating coded categorical variables, is an extremely important step in the process of working with data in SPSS. From this point on in the tutorials, we will be working with datasets saved in previous tutorials in steps. We will document each of the major changes with a new dataset. The dataset that results from the work in this video will be step 1. We will simply double-click on the file pulse.sav to open the dataset in SPSS. Switch to the variable view if SPSS does not load in that view. In this view, you can see and edit all of the important variable properties. In this video, we will focus on the decimals, columns, and measure, and discuss a few other options that we have no need for in this course. You can change the name of your variables in this view by simply landing on the cell with the name of that variable and typing the new name. We will skip to the measures column, as this is the most important to check. If this is incorrectly set for a variable, you may not be able to conduct the analyses you are trying due to the measure not matching what SPSS expects. All quantitative variables, discrete or continuous, should be classified as scale variables. For categorical variables, you can set them all to nominal if you wish, as we will not conduct any methods that are specific to any ordinal nature that exists in a categorical variable, other than in how we display results to point out any trends. If there is an ordinal categorical variable, you have the option to specify that in the measure column. In our data, height, weight, age, pulse 1 and pulse 2 are all quantitative and should be set to scale. We see they were correctly set by the import from the Excel file. Year is also set to scale, which is okay for our purposes, but I'm going to set this as an ordinal categorical variable instead. Our categorical variables are gender, smokes, alcohol, exercise, and the treatment. All of these are nominal except for exercise, which is ordinal, scale of low, moderate, and high. So I will change exercise to ordinal. Check these settings whenever you import new data and whenever you create new variables. The type column specifies the type of data. Usually these seem fine, but when this is needed it is likely important. Clicking on one of these shows that it allows formats such as commas and numbers, scientific notation, dates, currency, etc. Normally, whatever SPSS has chosen is correct enough for this course. However, if it ever sets a variable which is numeric to a string, character, this can definitely cause issues in the dataset, so check that all of your quantitative variables are classified as numeric. The width is an internal setting for the data storage and should not need to be changed. In the raw data, all of the quantitative data were given as whole numbers, and certainly all of the coded categorical variables were whole numbers, and yet SPSS has given each of these 1 decimal place in the decimal column. If we look at the data view, you can see that all of the values end in a decimal and a 0. It isn't necessary, but I'm going to change these all to 0. We will go through the label and values columns in other videos. The missing column allows you to set a particular value or values to be set as missing. This is useful for surveys where values such as 999 or 888 are used to represent responses such as don't know or refused. Some datasets have NA to represent missing observations. In this course, we will spare you from dealing with missing data due to the introductory nature of this course. However, in practice, working with missing data is often necessary. The columns column will change the width in the data view. I'm going to change them all to 7 so they fit in the window, along with room for the new variables we will create later. The Align column can change the way the data are aligned in the data view if you wish, and the role should be set to Input. To summarize, except for the label and values, which will be covered in other videos, the most important setting in the variable view is the measure, which should be correctly set to nominal, ordinal, or scale. Other possibly useful values are the variable name, the decimals, and the column called columns. Be sure to check that the measures are correctly set in all of your data sets, both in this course and if you use SPSS in practice. Let's save the dataset as pulse_step 1. That's all for this video on basic data settings. Thanks for watching.